on the troll.
Right. Everything is just late.
Are we live?
Yes, we are.
Is it recording? Hi guys, welcome back to the Mzansi Reality YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us yet again for another video. We are here, we are live, and we have a couple of things to discuss.
Yes.
Yes, it's an impromptu live, but I hope you guys will enjoy it. I know I did not put up a announcement. You know, it's very tricky in these YouTube streets. You put up an announcement, next thing you know, something else has happened. It's very tricky. So you can't really rely on, I've made an announcement, this is exactly what I'm going to talk about. It can change just an hour before recording, you know? So yes, guys, as we all know, Judge Ratha Mngomezulu, presiding over the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial, will on Thursday rule whether the alleged confession statements made by these alleged, very strong, alleged killers are admissible. So in the trial within a trial that started in October last year, the court heard evidence on the admissibility of the confession statements that they allegedly made. The defense has submitted the alleged confessions by Muzi and Ntanzi, and they submitted that they were not obtained freely and voluntarily. Okay, they alleged that the accused were tortured and assaulted. Both Muzi and Ntanzi alleged that the torture was used where they were tubed, and they used a plastic bag to cover their heads. You know, there's also some pouring of water there, and I think what was used was a taser, but they saying that it was a sharp tool that was used, you know, and then water was poured on them. It's just a whole lot of things that were happening to them in their version of events.
Yeah.
And they are saying that, you know what, these statements, before we signed them, they were pre-written. All that was needed from us were just signatures, you know. And the state is saying, no, that's not the case. And yeah, it's been a roller coaster ride. And in the alleged confession, Muzi and Ntanzi implicated Meyiwa's then girlfriend, Singer Kelly Kumalo, as the person who gave them the instruction to kill Meyiwa. And Judge Mngomezulu on Tuesday said that this court, after having considered all the evidence, all the submissions, will on Thursday make a ruling. That's today, if I'm not mistaken.
It is today. For some weird reason, I thought it was actually, we still had a day or more.
No, it's today.
Well, unfortunately, the time has come for us to know what is going to happen. But if you ask me, we know what is going to happen. The question is rather, are they going to take it and continue to remain trial, or are they going to appeal it? Because the weight then comes in, if you look at it. If they accept it, then the weight of this case, it changes towards the state. That does not have a case, but they are going to have a case. And Emil,
Yes.
just before I continue,
Yeah.
before we continue,
Yes.
there is some Jakey here. Name is Jakey.
Uthini uJake?
So this person takes time typing to our WhatsApp as typing, telling us that to be honest, guys, your channel is only in favor of those suspects. Only you just don't care about the poor innocent boy who was badly killed. You only worry about your brothers just because they are Zulus. Okay, this is I calling. This is, I think he wants to say, I'm calling to you
on the comment section.
to your judge or useless. You're calling, I calling to judge useless okay, here is saying that we are calling a judge useless, I think, and the police bar useless. Seems as if he's a Zulu person, by the way, this person, or he speaks Zulu. Witness bar useless. Only you and your brother le rights. Ah man, yes, I think that's what he wanted to say. But yes.
No wonder why they didn't want to leave it on the comment section.
Just to make things easier next time, because after that,
Oh my God.
after that they ran away. I managed to find their name. Their name is Jake. Jake.
Oh my God.
That's the name. I will keep the number for now and wait for him or her to come again. And if he does that, then I will release the number.
Okay, so this is kind of weird behavior. It's kind of like bully
And
behavior.
the funny thing is that Senzo is Zulu. I am Zulu. I think he thought he was talking to you. You have the phone. I am Zulu. Senzo is Zulu. Senzo's brother is Zulu. Senzo's brother does not also believe this whole ruckus.
No,
So
it doesn't at all.
I don't understand.
Nama, I don't understand. It's like there's a emergence of these bullies who just want what they want at the expense of other people. It's very concerning when you take all the energy and time to write such a disturbing message and you leave it on my WhatsApp. Why don't you leave it on the comment section? Ustaban, what are you afraid of? Just leave it on the comment section so that everybody can see it. Yeah, but sending it to me, it's pretty pointless right now because we've gone too far. We are far along in this case and we are not losing interest. And if you feel that we are favoring the accused, well then it is what it is. But are we going to look at the deliberations that are made in that courtroom and act like we're not seeing what's happening? Are we just going to put a blindfold over our eyes and say, oh, just because they're appearing before a court, it means that they're guilty? For example, right now, I know it's a very sensitive case and I feel so bad about it. Oh, Jocelyn, that poor baby who went missing in the Western Cape and nobody knows where she is. There's no trace. It's like she disappeared into thin air. The mother is implicated. The boyfriend of the mother is implicated. And a Sangoma was also implicated. Turns out that Sangoma today was let go. They are saying that they didn't have enough evidence against the Sangoma, even though the boyfriend said that they had paid the Sangoma 20,000 rands. So it means even the money trail that the boyfriend is talking about, the police couldn't find it. So they had to let her go. You understand what I'm saying? You can't look at the case and make a conclusion. You cannot do that. You have to hear everything out and make up your own mind as to the activities that are happening in that court, whether you align with them or not, or you choose to believe what is being dished out to you or not. You need to deliberate. We deliberate this case every day. And let me tell you, our perception on that day are exactly as we are receiving it, watching it on that day. That's why we do it every day. Because we didn't want to now do it piece by piece and then have stray people like Abo Jakey coming here and trying to pacify us and stop us from telling the truth. There's a lot of things wrong with the justice system in South Africa. There's a lot of things wrong with how investigations are done. Yes, it's not easy finding a perpetrator of a crime, but there's so much also that can be done to improve how things can be done, how cases can be solved. And you are telling us that we should let that go. We should continue to feel unsafe in our own country because the government refuses to uplift and upgrade systems, because the people that are supposed to help in tracking and tracing criminals are doing the bare minimum, and we must just accept it, right? We must just take it as it is because they are who they are, and there's nothing better that they could have done. They don't deserve any criticism. They don't deserve anything to show the public that we can see that this is not done properly. So we must not hold them accountable. We must just let them be and let them do whatever they want. We must just let them convict this person because they are a career criminal. They might as well just take the fall for every other criminal so that we can close this case. That's the kind of country you want to live in, Jake. Unless if you are a part of those people, then I'd understand. But if you are not, then I'm very concerned.
Sometimes you just show your level of thinking, just unprovoked. You watch a video, you take time, you take our number, you take them down. You want to talk to
Sounds
us.
like a bully to me.
No, it's fine. I'm waiting for... they ran away. So I'll hide the number for now. But if Jake, because it's Jake, it's Jake, not Jake. Jake.
You're Jake Tusa. Either you are part of the problem or you're part of the problematic people right now. You don't want any justice for Senzo. If justice for Senzo to you means that anybody who fits the profile of a career criminal takes the fall, that's what justice looks like to you instead of getting the actual perpetrator of the crime, then I don't feel safe around you. And please stop sending me funny messages.
Let's continue.
Okay, so back to Judge Ratha and what he said on Monday. Was it Monday? It feels like such a long time ago. He said it won't be a full judgment. It will be a ruling, and such a ruling by its nature is determined by convention, and the law is relative and not final because at this juncture, this court is not seized with the rest of the evidence. And this court can't determine at this stage how the evidence, which is going to be led by the state, and it is also led by the defense in rebuttal, is going to impact, affect, diminish, increase the evidence that will be led in the merits of the case.
He gave judgment.
You think so? This sounds like a judgment, right?
No, listen to what he's saying. Listen, read that thing again.
You want me to read it again?
He's saying the judgment that he's gonna give is not final.
Yes.
But there's more evidence going to be led by the state.
Yes.
So if he rules otherwise, he wouldn't have said that.
You think so?
No. It's basically saying that.
Let me go through it again. The court, after having considered all the evidence, all the submissions, will on Thursday make a ruling. It won't be a full judgment. It will be a ruling, and such a ruling by its nature is determined by convention, and the law is relative and not final, because at this juncture, this court is not seized with the rest of the evidence.
With the rest of the evidence.
So the person who was telling us that they should actually not have started with just going through with the trial, they needed to start with the trial within a trial. I don't quite
like
remember.
The same way Tifo was saying. I said that.
You said it on Monday that they should have actually started with the trial within a trial from the very beginning, because already the accused were disputing the confessions. They were saying they have nothing to do with the confessions. They were forced to sign the conditions, and which would explain why the previous lawyers straight up from the beginning were narrating the stories of the accused. I remember Advocate Tifo doing it, and after Advocate Tifo recused himself, TT did it again. With every witness, he would narrate the stories of the accused and how they were arrested and what had happened to them to ultimately them signing those confessions, right?
Look,
They wanted to instigate this trial within a trial from the very beginning, and Maumele at the time was just not having it.
the case itself is crazy, man.
It's insane.
It's insane. We have forgotten about accused number 3, who the gun allegedly that
Was
is
linked.
linking was found in
The
his
one
possession.
with the dreadlocks. He's the one who had dreadlocks
So,
and gold too.
and then there's a confession from this other side.
And then there's a confession.
And then accused number 3 does not have that confession.
No,
This is the craziest case
it's
ever.
a mess.
I mean, a person who was found with a weapon does not have a confession.
No. And he further said only after this court has had the other evidence can this court be in a position to join the evidence which was heard in a trial within a trial and that which was heard within the merits and draw a joint judgment which incorporates both of these exigencies. So that's what he had to say. And we'll see today what the verdict kind of looks like. So for me, pretty much the purpose was to have our family talk and babohle, because last time we cut it short because the time was stretched. I remember
It was stretch. I think in my opinion, we should continue.
Okay, let's move on to the next story, and hopefully at the end our people would have gathered. The ones who are able to gather, they would have gathered, and you all will have the opportunity to call in and whatever you want to talk about, either the AKA situation or what Judge Ratha Mokgoatleng's expected outcome will be today. But for now, let's move on to the AKA story. I know you guys have been asking for it. I just decided, you know what, let us quickly catch up, especially with all these other elements of the story that are not really covered when it comes to digital video media. So the two accused brothers in the murders of rapper Keenan aka Forbes and Tibelo Tips Motswani have been remanded in custody in the Kingdom of Eswatini. Siyabonga Gezani Ndimande and Malusi David
Okay, Emil, you
Ndimande.
called for it. Then I'm going to have to stop you.
Okay, so yeah,
Zanzi, hello?
let's hear what our fan has to say.
Zanzi, hello?
You know, I was about to call in the other day, hello, and you cut off. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I just wanted to call in before you move on from the Senzo.
Yes.
Okay.
I was very intrigued at how suddenly the word probability came into the picture. And I think that word should have actually been used a whole lot more from the very beginning by the defense. Because where there's a lack of evidence, everything is about probability. So I wish that it had been used more often as a form of emphasis. And I feel like that can still be done, whatever the ruling on admissibility. Because it's just a ruling. It's not a judgment of guilt. It's not a pronouncement of anything.
Yes.
And I think from what little I know, okay, there are certain court situations. For example, say you are applying for something to be seen urgently. You don't want to be in the court roll, or for a labor issue. Or say in this case, there's now a trial within a trial that is about technicality. What Mnisi was pointing out the other day was a technicality. And that technicality was that all the grounds had not been stated. And as the judge said, such grounds as laid out before, the arguments and evidence and all of that can be limitless. Sort of technicality, when Mnisi said that constitutionally, the judge is bound to look at all the evidence in entirety. You know, it was his last-minute attempt to, you know, to sort of scold and warn the judge, because the judge has shown us that he's very impatient about certain technicalities on one side, but not on the other, you know. So it's a pity, because for me that means I really don't know which way the judge is going to go, because really he can make either, from my perspective, he can make either ruling. But the ruling I feel that he's likely to make is that it's not admissible. I mean that it is admissible, sorry. Because of all the technical, not errors, but technical, it's something I mentioned before. It's of foresight of what may go wrong, you know. And that is unfortunate. But I think that now that the defense has found their power, their oomph, their gumption, then I think it's going to be, you know, forward march from here, hopefully. And I hope that they work better together as a team.
I hope they work better as a team.
With each other,
yes.
You know. And I think they did really well under the circumstances.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with that. But I'm not hopeful about a ruling in the favor of the defense, because I think also it will create, in some way it may be bad if it isn't. It may create a fake sort of euphoria when they can still even be found guilty at the end of the day.
Yes.
Because we're moving on from the trial within a trial.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to feel about it. I'm not excited. I'm trepidatious to hear.
Yeah.
And thank you for keeping us engaged.
Thank you.
It's only
okay. Good night.
Thank you for calling.
So
thank you for sharing.
From what you're saying, and I heard someone saying that there might be withholding of this statement and not using it because they will be creating a case for the state. So by saying, okay, we are holding them.
Okay.
We are not saying that they are admissible, or we're not saying that they are not admissible.
Wow.
When you have led your evidence, then we feel that there is watertight case, then you can add them. Because Baloyi seems to be wanting to use them as the point of reference.
Yes.
Ntanzi, hello.
Hello.
Hi, sir. How are you? Hi, sir. How are you?
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir. How are you?
Good. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. Let's shoot.
Yeah, good man. I've got few, or let me just say, two aspects that I wanted to raise. Maybe check your opinions with regards to the Senzo matter. So, in an event where the judge says the confessions are admissible, then it means the very confessions are going to be used in court as evidence. Does that now mean we'll then have to go back to that particular affidavit that was read in court by Brigadier Kininda and go to the merit of that particular confession? Because it was actually a statement that was written by him that was he saying was implicating Kate. So does it mean now we can continue with the main trial with the investigation that was actually channeled towards saying this case was a robbery went wrong to now a contractual killing? And I don't think it was an investigation that was investigating contractual killing, as the evidence that was given in court by the witnesses was saying it was a robbery gone wrong. So that is where the investigation was actually leaning towards all along. So it's gonna be a bit tricky, and we all know that Judge Ratha would say the confessions are admissible. You can see with his demeanor when he's presiding. You can actually he's giving it away to say he's going to be saying on his ruling, he's going to be saying the confessions are admissible. And we can predict him because we see his demeanor when he's presiding. So I think those are the aspects that one wanted to raise, and to say we are not likely to see justice for Senzo if we still have Ratha in that particular bench, because really it's not helping.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
You raise valid points.
Yeah, no, those were just my submissions. Thanks.
Yeah. Those are valid points.
Okay.
You are right. The evidence that has been given so far in the main trial is that one of intruder.
Yes.
Robbery gone wrong. The one of the mastermind, I would say it has been led through the so-called phones and whatnot. But mostly, most of, and they raised it. The defense raised this thing to warn the judge that this case is not clear as yet. The state has not given us why we are here. What are we defending? Are we defending the robbery gone wrong, or we're defending the contractual killing? And if that is the case of the contractual killing, because Kininde has led the affidavit of contractual killing,
yes,
which I think he shot himself, then we should have been told so. And we also, this case is just bogus, man. They can say this case was not fair, and they will be right. They have points. They not even show themselves whether they are defending contractual killing or robbery gone wrong. Zanzi, hello.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, Anonymous. I'm good, and you?
Good.
Hello, Emily.
Hi.
Mama Lapito.
Yes.
I othi siphefumule akulanto esiyibhekelele ukuthi ingenzeka kusasa. Kodwa ke akunandaba, uNkulunkulu uzobona ukuthi uzoyenza kanjani, sokubeka ezandleni zakhe. Ujaji ujaji Ratha. Ujaji obukela phansi abantu abangani abala sikolo, uqhathekisa isilungu sibeka phambili. Makhuluma isilungu esihle ungumuntu. Umuntu uRamosepeli ubemgenelela njalo nje abeka ipoint amgenelela, wambukela phansi. Angazi ukuthi waye lokubukela phansi abanye abantu. Ubukela phansi abanye abantu, ulenye character yobutsotsi. Lo jaji kala character enhle. Ubukela phansi abantu.
Yeah.
So akulanto esibhekelele nje ukuthi ngahamba esidini lethu, kodwa ke asikubekeni kumdala sazi.
Yeah.
Ngiyabonga kanjani.
Siyabonga kakhulu. Right, I hear people on the comments. Someone saying that, hey, let me see, Emily and Mr. Can you make this about the court proceedings today, please? It will depend on the calls. If the calls are raining, obviously we will be stopped. But if they are not raining, we will continue as planned. So that's what I'm thinking. I mean, a judge who's impartial was going to say that these statements cannot be the only evidence that we have here. Can we provide that evidence, lead that evidence? Once we are satisfied, then we can add the issues of confessions. Since the case has already started like this,
Yes.
you say, I hold a judgment. I'm not going to, I'm not ruling in favor of the defense. I'm not ruling in favor of the state in terms of the admissibility of the statement. Reason being, I've not been furnished with proper evidence as yet that points that these people indeed they did this. So we're going to lead the other evidence, and then eventually we'll revisit the confession, which is a trial within a trial, where I will make a ruling on the basis that
there's evidence.
There's prima facie case.
Yes, most definitely.
So by so doing, you have neutralized on both sides. Then they go and argue the case as it is, using
the
evidence as it's supposed to be used, other than the confession. Because confession, you can say it is not exactly the evidence. It's I don't know. I'm sure there's a term for it. It's not primary evidence for me. It's secondary, something that is complementing the main evidence. And Baloyi seems to be making this confession the main evidence by wanting them to be put on record and use them going forward.
You know of this case of this young man who ended the lives of
Mzanzelo. We can hear ourselves. I'll reduce and then you'll correct the background. Yes.
I mean to slot in that case of this young man. He was found guilty today. His case also had a trial within a trial. Mkwanazi, the one who ended the lives of women who worked the streets. They were from Zimbabwe, and he ended their lives, and they discovered a stench in his father's garage where he was working. I think his father was a mechanic and he was assisting his father in the business. A couple of years ago, they found those bodies. Now, finding those bodies, it is alleged that he made a confession, throughout the investigations and with the trial. It's not even alleged, he did make the confession. There was a trial within a trial for him as well, So with him, it's different because there's evidence.
Yeah. Then after that confession.
Then a confession came after.
Yes.
With this one, we're not seeing much of the evidence.
Like if you ask me, if DNA came and said
they were there,
one of them was there. If the issue of a gun was clear, whether it was a revolver or what, and it matches the bullet. The things that are important. If the cell phone has full information, not this
30 seconds
were connected and no conversation. If the conversation on those phones that they have confiscated is clear, then we are talking. But
because right now,
we are given things that we should assume eventually that is the case. Or maybe there was a conversation. Maybe we are still at that stage of maybes.
Yeah, and I also have a problem because the media has blown it out of proportion when it comes to the Kelly situation, making it seem like whatever is against Kelly is solid. They are reporting as if it is solid. It's a solid link. Accused number 1 and number 5 had made contact with Kelly Kumar. It is not exactly. It's but so people have been sold on it. People are running with it. People are saying, but it's not. Had it been, Kelly Kumar would definitely have been summoned.
Hey, you'll be accused number 6 there.
Yes, she would have been arrested. The papers would have been filed. She'd be in jail, and she'd also be on that accused box as well. So it's not really solid. Those linkages were not solid evidence. And that is why she's still free. But how the media reports, it also creates this confusion that people have.
You might not want to believe Titi when he says he was asked to give the estate dance. But also you might be tempted to believe because you look at this case. For a couple of videos ago, I was skeptical about accused number 1, accused number 3, number 4, number 5. If you look at this case, it seems to exonerate those 3. Why am I saying that?
Why?
The confession cannot be used to arrest the 3rd and the 4th and the 5th person, the confessions of accused number 1 and 2.
Yes.
So this case basically, if you ask me, in my belief, that if it went according to the plan, it was supposed to do exactly that. People have been asking many questions as to who's paying who's paying that one, who's doing that. We used to ask those questions, right?
Yes.
So this case was probably gonna arrest 2 people by the looks of things. It looks like that. And then there came this Messiah, or I don't know, this person sent by God, therefore disturb that whole process. That's my thinking. That's my theory of what I see. That's what I see. And I'm not saying it's true, but if you look at it now that things are coming into light, this case was based on accused number 1 and number 2.
Yes. Because you look at the trial
The
within the trial
state,
itself.
even Baloyi
it's just
said
accused number 1 and number 2. They
he
have
wanted to
nothing.
say accused number 1 and 2. They also have their statement confessions, and then he later withdrew
He
that.
withdrew that because they
Why,
did not.
if they are there? Why withdraw? If they are there, in all honesty, if you look at it, they were going to have to all have heads of arguments and for each of their clients. But then you withdraw, and withdrawing does not make you arrest the other ones. It actually exonerates the other one, because if they had their confession, then we're talking a different story.
No wonder why even the other defense are like, still, what are we doing here?
Do you understand? They have that question. What are we doing here? What are we doing here?
What are we doing here?
It's maybe Mnisi has something to do, like in a sense of the kind and whatnot, but accused number 4 and 5, they've got nothing. After saying that we are not going to pursue their confessions, it was done. And that should be worrying you. The fact that they were singing that there is a confession.
All of them confessed.
Yes, all of them confessed. And all of a sudden you are saying, no, we're going to focus on we're withdrawing. In fact, they are not saying there are no confessions. They are saying we're withdrawing with the others.
Yes.
So what happens? You are now hiding the confessions of the others.
The question is, did the others even sign the statement?
That's where I'm going, because what I'm saying now is that means the same strategy was used for the other accused, but seemingly
They did not.
they are not budging because they are stubborn. Maybe they did not sign.
And
So
their tolerance of pain is
yeah,
higher.
and you could
the
see when
two.
they came into box, they were fighting.
Yes.
More so Ntulu was speaking straight.
But was a funu butelezi. You know, he was very much resisting. He was like, no.
Lo baba lo, lo baba lo.
Yay.
So that should worry a person who what happened, Kampela, with other statements. What is wrong? because I mean they were going to have to argue for 5 of them. It's fine.
Yes.
That's what they're doing even now. That's why they're sitting there. Nothing is wrong. So if you say that someone wrote a statement and then all of a sudden, as a state, now you say, no, we're not going to pursue that. The question that remains is, what happened? Was that statement ever there? The answer is probably yes. Was everything done according to the book? The answer is probably no. So you saw that many loopholes. Let me focus on the 2 that we managed to get, and those are new people in when it comes to being arrested.
Yes,
they are the
fresh.
weakest.
They are the weakest in our opinion, because first time dealing with the police, first time dealing with the NPA, first time, everything is a first experience for them. When they got arrested, we're talking about when they got arrested, not when they are alleged to have committed, especially for Sibia, who's alleged to have committed crimes in 2014. When he was arrested for the first time in 2019, that was his first encounter with the police and the justice and the whole system. So 2020, they come for him again. Still, he's not well versed in knowledge of how the police work, and seeing to it that they're alleging that they were taken to bushes and stuff. Can you imagine that whole experience, and it's your first time?
That shows that we are dealing with a different animal here. This animal can choose and pick who chows, who doesn't chow. Because if you are there as an officer to make sure that law is adhered to, then why stop when it comes to others? I mean, these people are accused for one thing, all of them. All of a sudden you say, no, it's fine. We're not going to pursue these 3. We're going to pursue these ones.
And perhaps with the other 3, it was not as simple to torture, to allegedly torture to a point where they would eventually sign, because you have to imagine that it's 2 systems now. It's the SAPS and it's also the correctional facility, which also have their own systems in place.
See here, the only and that actually justify why Ntanzi eventually said, I want to go to I want to go to prison, because those ones were already in prison, most of them.
Yes.
Yeah, they were already in prison.
Yes.
So it was difficult to do as you wish or do as you please with them. There was a bit of protection, and they were in KZN, like Ntulu was in KZN.
Yes, even
Mapisa was in KZN.
No, not Ncube, Mapisa was the one
so
who's also in KZN.
You can see already that the only people they had proper access to were people that were here in Joburg. 3 of them.
Yes.
Because you remember when we deliberated on accused number 3, how he was arrested, and the process was almost similar to accused number 1, number 2, in a sense, but they did find a gun.
Yes, they did find their firearm and
their
ammunition. So all of that is very interesting, which also is very interesting that the accused in the AKA case, the ones from Eswatini, are asking to be handed over to correctional services as well. The Demande brothers over there, Eswatini, are saying that one of the conditions is that they want to be transported, or rather transferred to the correctional facility and not the SAPS.
They are moving exactly the same way as these ones were supposed to move initially. They corrected later Bosbia by wanting to be taken to prisoner straight. But now...
Maybe they didn't even know. Can you imagine? Maybe they didn't even know that you can actually do that. Maybe someone tipped him after seeing the alleged torture to be like, maybe it's part of one of the police to tip him, like, just ask to be taken to.
They failed to actually use that, because I think if that is the case, then SBA was supposed to be asked, who told you that if you go to prison,
You'll be safe.
you'll be safe? And why
the
did that person
assaults.
do that? Why? Because obviously there's someone inside who might have tipped at Yewena. Make sure that you tell the judge
Maybe
to.
they are afraid of pulling this person. Maybe it's safety.
No,
concern,
but putting it on record. Just
Yeah,
saying
putting
that
it
I
on
was tipped
record
by a police.
by another police officer, and I'd rather
or
not
was tipped
say.
by someone.
But somehow the state was gonna want him to say a name.
Yeah, because this case is like, show your face.
Yes, they were gonna pull that police, or maybe that's why they didn't canvass much on it, for the safety of that police officer, who was actually a good Samaritan, in my own opinion, if it was a police officer, because tipping someone who you see that is going through a lot and be like, what if?
Mamel is saying that those brothers are crazy. Yes, they can do it. And Ntanzi did it. Sbia did it. Sorry, Sbia did it. All they have to do is to claim that they are afraid of brutality. In fact, the reason why they ran away from South Africa was they were afraid of police brutality. So, by so doing, then they want to be taken to prison.
Yes.
Direct.
Instead of
There's nothing wrong with that.
SAPS.
There's nothing wrong with it. What you are doing, by so doing, you are protecting yourself from the mighty police. Because there, in prison, it's a different department.
Because you heard General Mkwanazi saying that they are waiting for confessions, allegedly, on that.
Can
press
you imagine
conference.
where you are going to these holding cells and they are telling you directly, we are waiting for confessions. Immediately when you arrive, you're going to confess. Hey, gadala, man.
Anyiwa. Well, Siyabonga Gezani Ndimande and Malusi Dave Ndimande, they said that they will remain in Eswatini while South African authorities file applications for their extradition. And the Mazini Magistrate Court ruled on Tuesday. This is the court in Eswatini. The Royal Eswatini Police Service detained Ndimande brothers in Bambane late in February, and they face charges of murder and conspiracy to commit murder, and they've just added money laundering on top of that. So they're adding the charges. The siblings played different roles, and they're believed to have played different roles in the murder of their acclaimed rapper and his celebrity chef friend outside the Wish restaurant on Florida Road in Durban a year ago. Now, this establishment, Wish, I've already informed you guys that it was closed late last year, and it was located on Durban's Florida Road. Apparently, this is one of the roads that is mostly traveled on by celebrities. You know, it's full of a lot of establishments that celebrities are constantly booked at. The Crown filed an application to have cell phones that were discovered in the accused possession during the arrest held in custody because they might contain vital evidence for the case. Due to the fact that South Africa has not yet submitted the extradition application, which is supposed to include a justification for the accused to return to the country, as well as any additional requirements, the defense lawyer, Sivengwenya, argued that it was imperative to keep the cell phones intact. So the South African authorities had told the prosecutor over there at Swatini that they want those cell phones, right? And he made it known that the cell phones are needed and needed to be kept, and they're part of crucial evidence that they needed with the investigations in the country.
Why are they arrested in Swatini? Why are they arrested there? What is the case that they're facing in Swatini?
It's the AKA case. And other cases.
So were they caught for that direct?
Yes, they were caught for that direct, which is very tricky, in my opinion. It's very tricky. Maybe they were in a rush or whatever, but it's tricky. It's tricky. It's tricky because now I'm not sure if the Eswatini government has opened a charge against them for being illegal in the country. that's where I'm uncertain, because all I'm hearing is the AKA case involvement. Because even the prosecutor over there is asking for evidence relating to the AKA case. It's a lot, but we'll unpack it with you guys.
So they are being charged for AKA that side?
Yes, AKA and Tips case. That's
nothing else.
I haven't heard of anything else so far. So Maqebo Nxumalo emphasized that while waiting for South Africa's extradition application, South Africa has not applied for that extradition yet. They haven't sent the application yet.
They are still marinating you. They are still marinating you to set the expectations properly.
They haven't set that extradition. Then why are they? That's why it keeps getting postponed. Because they were supposed to attend this extradition case.
What was the process to say that they must intercept these people? Let us start there, because those are nitty-gritties that we need to they are going to look at when they come to South Africa. They are going to start like Nandipa.
Well, with Nandipa, they actually took them out immediately, and then now we had a conundrum of whether it was extradition disguised as a deportation. Do you remember that whole shenanigan?
Yes, they are going to go along those lines.
You think it's going along the same line?
If they haven't filed even an extradition application, what did they say to this police? They said, we have people that side. Can you look for these people for us and then intercept and keep them in prison? And but then why are they going to court?
Because the extradition process should have started right now.
Yes.
The South Africa should have filed that application.
Yes.
By now.
Yes.
So that matter is attended to. That's why every time there's a court appearance, there's been 2 already. It's almost like you don't know what's going on. I keep watching and I'm thinking maybe something will happen. Maybe I don't know what is happening in that court. Why are those people appearing before the court? If you haven't started the extradition application, you haven't sent it yet. And why is it taking so long? I thought you should have had it ready. By the time you issued the warrant of arrest, you should have started working on it already. Right?
Yes.
So I don't know what's the delay there. So it really caught me off guard, the fact that the extradition application is not yet filed with the Swatini court, you know? Now, it was important to note that the cell phones carried information that might be of essence to the case as it develops. The Crown has also filed an application to keep the cell phones found in the possession of the murder suspects. So they want those phones. The suspects don't want to give them those phones.
In fact, they want those phones to come before even the suspects come here. So basically, what you can sense from this case is that they don't have a case as yet. So they want to use the phones to build a case so that when they proceed with extradition, that's why the delay of extradition.
You know, I was very worried when General Mkhwanazi were like, why did they have such an expensive lawyer? I'm
Because
like, why are you
process
worried
is
about
gonna
an
be
expensive
frustrated.
lawyer?
It's going to be frustrating. The process is going to be frustrating now. You have to do things by the book. For instance, you cannot just come and say, these people had this and this in this case. Remember when they come to South Africa, I think the following day,
Yes.
they should go to court.
And
in that court, probably there should be bail hearing or whatnot.
Yes.
And if the bail hearing happens, you should have a watertight case to say that you should not release these people on the basis of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Here's the case that we have on them and one. So they don't have that because these people haven't been here in South Africa. So they want the cell phone before they come, so that they prepare. When they come, they're like, yeah, here is the case. Here's what we have on the basis of that phone.
Well, another interesting thing is that money laundering was added to the charge sheet for all the accused. And on Wednesday last week, Mziwathemba Gwabeni, who's 36 years of age, Lindoguhle Ndimande, who's 29, and Lindoguhle Mkhwanazi, who's 30, Lindani Ndimande, who's 35, and 21-year-old Sianda Mayeza returned to Durban Magistrates Court to face those 14 charges. And the charges include 2 counts of murder, unlawful possession of firearms and ammunition, attempted murder, and conspiracy to commit murder. So the senior prosecutor, Advocate Elvis Gweka, told the court that money laundering has been added to the charge sheet. The matter of the 5 men accused of the murder of AKA and Tibbs was adjourned to 14th of March for a formal bail application. So this is today, if not tomorrow, today.
That's today. So on the basis of, I think the issue of money, from what I'm hearing is that they were in the taxi industry. Obviously, these people, their money comes like that.
Cash.
Yeah, it's
They
hard
deal
cash.
with cash.
So they are probably saying that. And now it's going to be looked at as money laundering, which is something that is happening, and nationally. It's there, it's happening.
It
No one
is
is taxing those people.
the taxi industry.
Yeah. If they are taxed, just takes 1 out of 10 or 4. I'm just saying.
No, they're saying that the Dimande brothers come from a feared family that owns a fleet of taxis across KwaZulu-Natal and several other provinces. So then Dimande brothers come from a feared family that is owning this fleet of taxis. And yeah, that's pretty much an interesting point you can gather, that the money does move in cash, liquid cash, most of the time. And maybe that's why they ended this money laundering charge. So law enforcement authorities have applied for the siblings to be extradited in order for them to join the co-accused in South African court. And Sunday World reported...
They have applied.
They've applied. Now
But
they've
they
applied
didn't-
today.
Oh, okay.
Today they've applied, because came out today, I think. So Sunday World reported at the weekend that hours before AKA and Tibbs were shot dead, someone deposited 800,000 into an account of a man police believed assembled a team of killers and also paid them. So a police investigation established that 800,000 rands was deposited into this particular guy, Mziwathemba Gwabeni's FNB account at about 2 p.m. on February the 10th, 2023. Now, I was shocked when I found out that this account allegedly was opened on the day of the incident as well. I don't know how true that is, but I read somewhere that that account was opened on the 10th of February, 2023. And 800,000 rands was put into that account on the same day that it was opened with FNB. And Mziwathemba Gwabeni is the one who opened the account and received that money, and he's the one who's been alleged to have been the coordinator. So now moving on to the many conspiracies and stories surrounding the accused on the conditions that the two Ndimande brothers gave the court of Eswatini for them to be extradited back to South Africa. On Friday, the accused met with their legal representatives, and they reportedly stated that they had no qualms with being extradited to South Africa to face their charges, but the process should be done within the confines of the law to ensure their safety. According to the source, the Ndimande brothers are said to have made it clear to their legal representatives that in the whole process, they wanted to be assured that their safety would be prioritized. They stated that the reason that they're not opposed to their extradition is that they feel that they will be safer in the custody of SA prison than being detained in Eswatini, said the source. So the source further mentioned that during the meeting with their legal representative, the accused persons stated that they wanted to be handed over to prison authorities, not members of the SAPS. Now that's really strange. Why don't they want to be handed over to the police? And Mr. Anonymous is already convinced that it's a matter of safety. Perhaps, you know what? They may just be allegedly, or we don't know, but circumstances of getting to that confession might be tricky. So as part of the conditions, they said that they have also stated that during their handover to the prison authorities, they wanted their South African-based attorney to be present. So they are saying that as they land, they want their lawyer to be there. God! Yay! Yeah, these ones are armed with legal representatives. So another condition they put forward, according to the source, was that they wanted to be escorted by the local police in the presence of their Eswatini attorney and handed over to the prison authorities of their home country. A lot is going on here. So in short, according to the source, the accused persons made it clear that they wanted the whole process to be done under the watchful eye of their lawyers. It is said that the accused persons further highlighted that they had strong reservations about being handed over to the members of the SAPS. The siblings are also expected to make their second court appearance at the Manzini Magistrate Court today. Okay, so that was yesterday. We already conversed on that appearance that happened yesterday. So their lawyer in Eswatini confirmed to have met his clients, but declined to comment further, citing that lawyer confidentiality. Okay, so the 5 accused who made that appearance, their names are already published and listed in the news. They are facing these 14 charges. Okay, and it's not going to be an easy road ahead, but they are arming with lawyers, which is a different scenario than what we've seen with the stories of Sibiya and Ntanzi as they were narrating them. They were not armed with lawyers. These ones are choosing to arm themselves with lawyers.
Was money probably there?
The money's there. The money's there. So yeah, guys, that's basically it. And I also wanted to move to some of the crazy conspiracies that I've heard over the weekend about these alleged people, you know. And it said that 2 of these accused are wanted for murders emanating from the taxi wars in KZN. So speaking of taxi wars, I don't know if you guys managed to see the interview by Linda Mnisi, you know, he had with a family member of the Ndimande brothers, the ones who are in Swatini, where this family member was kind of alluding to the taxi rivalry element in their arrest, you know. I have to put a disclaimer as well to say that I'm not saying that they did not do it, and I'm not saying that they did do it. All I'm saying is that I'm putting that disclaimer. Right now it's too early to tell whether they're guilty or not. The evidence that the police are saying they have against them sounds convincing, but we'll see with the trial what happens. And I'm not saying that they're guilty, and I'm not saying that they're not guilty. I haven't made my verdict yet. I'm still waiting for the trial to go on. Now, on to another interesting angle of this story is that this family member or acquaintance who did the interview, and by the way, shout out to Linda Mnisi. I mean, even with this Senzo Meyiwa trial, he was the one who actually went to the families initially to report and get the versions of the families of the accused. You remember that interview, Mr. Anonymous? Shout out to him for being so quick to do that. I mean, journalism, that's what it's about. And he didn't put his opinions or anything. He's just, I know we were hard on him for putting opinions because he just off-ramps sometimes. But when it comes to getting the story, he's really good at what he does. So shout out to him. And let me say that this family member was narrating a very different angle of the story. People are annoyed by him. I won't lie. People are annoyed by the fact that it seems like he's defending the criminals, presenting the side of the story that are accused. And there are accusing him of protecting izinkabi, you know, and I could feel the tension as well on X. There's a lot of people who are saying these people have done terrible things to them in person.
That's a problem. There was no case for that. Now, should we follow that?
I'm just putting it out there, you know, that some people feel some type of way about it.
No, if they did not put anything or did not go somewhere where they can get help about this situation, it's difficult to now all of a sudden use that.
So it's, for me, this same kind of energy is reminiscent of the time when we heard of the accused in the Meyiwa trial. I mean, a lot of people had made up their minds that these are the right guys, these are the people. It was convincing. Even I myself was like, maybe, you know, they have a case here. You understand what I'm saying? I didn't want to talk much about it. I wanted to see the state as it unravels the procedures in court. And same with this case. So a senior family member said that their arrest in neighboring Eswatini may have saved their lives. He said that there has been a lot of incidents similar to the case that these men were arrested for when they lost family members at the hands of the police. He also said that it's better that they were arrested outside of South Africa rather than them being killed by the police. Police said that the men were arrested in a hideout in Eswatini, but the relative does not believe that they were evading arrest for the murders of AKA and Tibbs. He maintains that the men were worried about being killed due to a bloody taxi war between the families and a rival which left 8 people dead in 2022. He said that after the death of these 8 family members, there was a retaliation from the family. After they decided to retaliate, then the police intervened. A team was deployed by Minister Begicele to intervene, and they said that they were there to resolve the dispute among the families in eThekwini. And that team arrived at their home. They welcomed them in their home. Then after, the police pursued the young men. All the youngsters apparently in the family, including the accused and the 2 that were in Eswatini, were hunted by the police. They ended up going into hiding, according to this family member, getting out of South Africa, going to hide in other nations, including the ones who were found in Eswatini. He alleges that police threatened to end their lives. He said that police arrived at their home with Warrant Officer Maharaj from Durban Central, and he said that they were looking for so-and-so. We could not hear the names as they were beeped out, but Maharaj said that he knew that they were heavily armed and that he'd fire at them and unalive them. Now, that was a signal to them that they must go into hiding, this family member said. So it looks like this is it's a taxi war, like it's a lot. And this family allegedly was being attacked by another rival family, and then they went on to retaliate to that other family, and then the police came in and told them that they should make peace. And when they thought that they were making peace, the police started hunting for them, according to this family member. So the family refuses to be drawn into the merits of the case, and they say that the men went into hiding 4 months before the murder of AKA and Tibbs. The 2 are also accused of being involved in another crime, and he said that we are neither confirming nor denying their involvement in the murders. And don't forget that a lot of people have friends and networks. The family member said that they made them ending up being linked to the AKA murder. It was said in eThekwini that they are going to finish everything that is in demand. Their family, in demand, he's saying, was under threat. They said that they were going to finish everything that says in demand. So these young men should be placed with all these cases and crimes that happened in eThekwini so that they get locked up and they remain behind and eat from the business of Malukazi Taxi Association. So the family said that they still believe in the saying that we are all equal before the law and want that to be applied across the board. So could it be that they came out of hiding just to perform the hit of ending AKA and Tibbs' lives? Could it be? I mean, they're saying that they disappeared 4 months prior. I mean, according to the neighbors in Swatini, they were always throwing house parties with food and alcohol and women, and yet they were unemployed. Were they getting the money? That is the question. Where did they get the money? So this is a taxi business war. And according to how this family member is describing it, it sounds like it. And somewhere, somehow, there's a linkage to AKA and Tibbs murders. So the court was told that the accused persons were a flight risk as they might have left the Republic of South Africa through illegal crossing points and entered Eswatini. So the local director of public prosecutions, who moved the application on behalf of the neighboring country, is represented by Principal Crown Counsel Ngumalo. So this means that the brothers stay in the country prison might be slightly prolonged. The non-filing of the extradition application also means that the two make their second court appearance at the Manzini Magistrate Court, and there might be a postponement to a later date pending the filing of the extradition application. So yeah, they might be remanded in several days pending their next appearance. So yeah, now moving on to the story that describes the time in the investigation when they tracked the white Mercedes-Benz, Mr. Anonymous. There was a time we tried to cover the story. I don't think we tried. We actually did cover the story. And later on, there were rumors that that was not them.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
early last year. So this white Mercedes-Benz actually has a story, and it is believed to be the one that was used to follow AKA and entourage to the Wish restaurant. They are saying rifle cartridges, muti, and matchsticks at the mouth of a petrol tank were found. These are some of the items that the police found in an abandoned Mercedes-Benz vehicle linked to the alleged killers of musician AKA. So they are saying that the vehicle was allegedly driven by the suspects in a separate incident where they shot a man dead, injured a woman, and hit a pedestrian as they fled from the scene. Now, I'm going to briefly narrate the story of what was happening. They're saying that there was a woman who's affiliated to the taxi industry. I think she's the wife of one of the taxi bosses, and she was transporting a man in her car. And there was a drive-by shooting with this white Mercedes-Benz, and they shot at her vehicle. Now, they injured her, and they ended the life of the gentleman who was in the passenger seat in her car. And then they drove by, and as they were driving by with this white Mercedes-Benz after doing that drive-by shooting, they also hit another person who was a pedestrian. So that is another case that they are being linked to.
Okay.
That happened in Durban. So an affidavit from the National Prosecution Authority stated that the wife of a taxi boss in Umlazi, Durban, had picked up a man who assisted her to get to the taxi operating permits in Morningside. And they were en route to Berea. You know how we heard Berea? Something was mentioned by General Mkwanazi of Berea to drop off the man when they were ambushed by gunmen in a Mercedes-Benz. The woman tried to hide behind her car steering wheel, that's the driver wheel, while screaming for help. She then realized that her passengers had been hit by a bullet. She then drove off while the assailant continued to shoot at her vehicle. The woman reached a garage in Umbilo Road, where the garage manager and police assisted her. Her passenger died inside the car. Whilst fleeing from the scene of the shooting, the assailant's vehicle collided with a pedestrian, causing injuries to the pedestrian. So the vehicle continued to drive away at high speed, and the pedestrian managed to take down the registration number of the white Mercedes-Benz. So the vehicle was later abandoned in Kato Crest informal settlement, and investigations showed that there had been an attempt to burn it. The vehicle was covered with Coca-Cola, and 2 bent matchsticks were found at the mouth of the petrol tank. So 2 spent rifle cartridges cases were found in the back seat, while one spent rifle cartridge case was found in the front seat. There were also 3 bullet holes on the driver's side window, and the car had false registration plates, and investigations into the ownership of the car showed that it had been stolen in January 2023. One of the assailants also purchased airtime from a tuck shop situated a few meters from where the vehicle was abandoned. Investigations revealed that Siphamandla Ngcobo was identified as the person who recharged his phone with the airtime purchased from tuck shop. Read that affidavit. So Ngcobo was arrested on March 26th last year for robbery with aggravated circumstances in respect of the stolen Mercedes-Benz. Using cell phone records and car tracking system, police linked Siyabonga Ndimande as the kingpin in the murder of AKA, while Lindilani Ndimande provided instructions on how the murder was to be executed. The 2 brothers are also suspects in the AKA and Tips murder. And one of the suspects is also linked to a deadly construction mafia. I'm sure you guys have heard of the construction mafia before. It's people who generally gather themselves in the construction business. And I don't know whether I'm describing it correctly, but in my opinion, they bully whoever gets a tender to build something. Okay. And they either want that tender for themselves or they want an exorbitant share of the tender proceeds received. And if that person who owns the tender refuses, they sabotage the construction process. They make it difficult for you to work if you've gotten that tender in that place and you refuse to give them that fee. Okay, and if you try to be stubborn and you still find a way to fight back, it might even end up in you dying for a tender. It's tough in South Africa. So some of them even compete for tenders and force those who are handing those tenders out to give them those tenders. Instead, they feel like they are the right people to get the job done. They are everywhere, guys. They are in every main city. Okay, a project will not continue unless if they can also eat. So that's my short description of the construction mafia, in my opinion. So a businessman has revealed that one of the suspects in the Keenan aka Forbes murder case once stormed a meeting, Mr. Anonymous. They're saying this gentleman stormed the meeting. It's an allegation. It's all alleged. Okay? It's all alleged. Stormed a meeting discussing the 1.2 billion Mkomazi Dam project and demanded a security tender. According to the businessman who asked not to be named, the suspect allegedly told the meeting held in 2021 that if he did not get that security tender, someone is going to die. Kukonozofa. Allegedly. So 3 years later, in July 2023, Olani Chamane, an executive for infrastructure at the Umgeni Utugela Water Board and one of the stakeholders in the project, was shot and killed in Durban. So one of the suspects is alleged to also be a feared Nkabi hitman from Mtuba, Northern KZN, with allegations of ending the lives of taxi owners and involvement also in political killings. As well in the province of KZN. So a businessman has revealed that one of the suspects in the Keenan aka Forbes murder case once stopped into that meeting, yes, demanding that security project, and at some point it was alleged that he had to go and hide at Kwamhlabuyalingana, where his wife is a teacher, because the firearm he had been turned against him. I was like, what? Mr. Anonymous, they're saying that his firearm had been turned against him. What could that possibly mean?
I guess they wanted him.
Was it worked on African chemistry-wise so that when he shoots, it shoots him instead?
No, I think what they are trying to say is that probably someone was brave enough to face him head on. To face him head on.
But then they're saying the firearm that he had was turned against him. How does that happen?
I don't know. I think that then it means that mean that the firearm was it was a close range, and then it was turned, and then he was afraid that he did not get to finish the man, and then he flee. But all I want to say is that for those other cases, I don't know that much. If they did it, they must go to jail.
They must.
Yeah. They must go. That's what I've been preaching, and that's what we preach here. We're not defending people just like that. We are saying people should go to jail for what they do, where there's proper evidence
against
that
them.
says these people should go to jail because they did 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
That is the case. It's their business, man.
That's sounding scary, though.
We know tax industry is not an easy industry. So obviously, once they get you to that, then there's nothing we can say about that. But what made them want to take AKA out? Why? Yes, tax industry, I would understand it's business. They need business and they do whatever they do. What made them then go after AKA?
Who gave them the money and gave the hit? Okay, guys, that's a wrap from me and Mr. Anonymous. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Yes, guys, it has been a long, long, long day. Tomorrow again. Thank you for the calls and everything else that you guys did.
Yep.
Thank you for liking. Today we didn't remind you. Just keep on liking.
Keep liking. But nyazizwa ama allegations. What would a high-profile case be without these conspiracies and these allegations against the accused? What would a high-profile case be? I hope you guys are up to date. This is Openana next time.
Yes, it's a bye from us.